Well, hello again, nerds. I think this is the first time that we're doing a live recording. This is nerdy reaction to Killswitch Engage. Oh, I can't even remember which song it is. Know Your Enemy from the Live at the Palladium record that they're about to put out, record DVD. This is the first live song, I just said that we've done on the channel. We've done live videos before, but this is going to be a little bit of a different beast. This is going to be I'm so glad our first is with Killswitch because I love this band. That being said, before we get into the other pieces, let's do this real quick.
Before we get any further into this video, let's get a couple of things out of the way. First, if you want to listen to this song or watch this video in whole without my commentary, then go do that. This is not the place for that. This is a reaction and analysis video. We're here for a conversation, not for a watch party. I'm going to be stopping this video, talking over certain parts, and replaying certain parts, so get used to it. Second, my analysis is my opinion. My opinion comes from a place of knowledge. I have over 30 years of musical training and experience, 20 years as a professional musician and producer, and almost 10 years as a video producer and director. I know what I'm talking about. All that being said, we will be discussing the performance of the song by the musicians, production of the song by the producer, and production of the video, should that apply, by the director and anyone else involved. Now, I return you to your regularly scheduled reaction video. Thanks, nerds.
So there, if you don't like it, don't stick around. I say that, but please stick around and join the conversation. If you don't like it, let me know. Let's talk about it. Anyway, so Killswitch, we've done a couple of Killswitch reactions at this point. My history with the band is they were my first metalcore band. They are not the first metalcore band, but they are definitely one of the first metalcore bands, and they are the metalcore band that every other modern metalcore band wants to be because they're amazing and they're huge and they're incredibly talented. So yeah, I like Killswitch. That's my history with the band. I found these guys, it was after Alive or Just Breathing. It was right before End of Heartache came out. It was literally I want to say the first tour that they did with Howard after Jesse left the first time, after Jesse left. But it could have been the second tour. I think it was just the first time they came out this far west with Howard. Everything else they'd done was out on the East Coast. Either way, I've been into these guys for a really long time. Honestly, even got the Overcast record that they did before they were Killswitch, and I mean the recording quality is definitely not that great, but it's still, you can see where they were going with this stuff. So yeah, I love Killswitch. Expectations for this. So we have, again, this is an interesting situation because I love Killswitch, but I don't like live recordings very much. I love live music. I love going to shows. I love being at the show and jumping in the pit when I can. Right now I'm an old man and I have an injured back, so unfortunately I'm unable to do that. But I do like to when I have the opportunity. I don't like live recordings though. There are very, very few live albums that I really, really dig. Killswitch has done actually, I think, 2 live DVDs now. It sounds fine, like there's no real complaints about it, but it sounds better on the actual record. I think the only people that I like their live recordings, there's a live Clutch album that is amazing. The name of it is escaping me right now. It's Strange Cousins from the West, I think. And then Tom Waits. Tom Waits live is just as good as recorded because he's always different live. He always switches it up, and I think that's one of the things that I really, really appreciate about him. And he usually has quality recordings as well, just Clutch as well. Just the recording quality that they put out when they do a live record is fantastic. And I think that's my biggest issue with live stuff is recording quality usually is subpar, at least when compared to the original recording. So, yeah, generally speaking, I would rather the studio version than the live version. There are definitely more exceptions to that. It's not a hard and fast rule than I've already listed, but we're not going to talk about all that other stuff. We're talking about Killswitch Engage, damn it. So we have a comparison, though, because I listened to or watched the, what is the name of that DVD? The first live DVD that they put out, Set This World Ablaze. There we go. I listened to Set This World Ablaze until I was blue in the face, almost literally, when it first came out, because it was a lot of fun to see them when I couldn't see them, because they put on such a great live show, especially when Howard was their frontman. I'm definitely Team Howard over Team Jesse, though I love Jesse too. Don't get me wrong. He's a fantastic vocalist. I just think Howard is better on literally every level. But it was so fun to watch them live, and also it comes with a documentary. So if you haven't watched Set This World Ablaze and you are into Killswitch, you really should, because the documentary side of that DVD was A-okay, man. It was really fun. You learned a lot about the band. You really felt like you got to know them, and it was still just after End of Heartache came out, so like they had just blown up, and they were about to put out As Daylight Dies, and just really, really interesting time in the band. So if you haven't watched it, again, go watch it. So expectations. That's our roll into expectations for this. I expect this to be not as good as the studio recording. That's not to say I expect this to be bad. I expect it to be top-notch live recording. I just am really, really critical of live recordings. Sorry, words just escaped my brain. So I'm very critical of live recordings. So I don't think it's going to be as good as the studio recording, and it's going to be really hard to change my mind about that. I do think it's going to be a lot of fun again to watch them, because it's a live video. So I'm very excited for that part of it. I don't think there's going to be anything spectacular, though. This is a song they've put out, so we've definitely heard it before. So there's nothing really shocking as far as the sound goes, as of the musicianship, as what they're playing. It's just a matter of will they leave in Adam's mistake, or will they pull the volume out? Because I don't know that he made a mistake in this record. I'm just assuming, because of the way he plays live, he'll be the first to admit that he forgets to play things, and he leaves parts out because he's too busy being a goofball on stage, and I love him for it. But I mean, that is another thing that draws back from the audio of a live recording. If you weren't there to witness the crazy, then it just leaves something to be desired. Like Joe Rogan says about listening to a stand-up performance, or watching a stand-up performance on like Netflix or something, it's a very different experience to have actually been in the room with the person performing it than to watch this thing after the fact. So going in with lower expectations because of that. And yeah, I think that's all of the expectations. Let's stop rambling on, and let's just get into the thing. Make it big and play, baby. Okay, so this is already really interesting as far as the performance goes. I thought this was going to be live in front of an audience, but it's just like a pandemic performance. This is just them performing to video cameras at a venue. I don't know if I like that any better than if there. I feel like I would like it more if there was a crowd there. Also, you can already hear the issues that I have with live recording, and that is that. Oh, hey, look at that! I have the volume down up here. No wonder I had to crank the actual computer so loud. I'm gonna blow my ears out. I should probably not do that since we are. That will affect the recording as well. Anyway, sorry, rambling, sidetracked. ADHD is a fun thing. So as far as the audio tone goes, one of the beautiful things about studio recordings is extra tracking. You can make 2 guitars sound like 50 guitars and only have 2 guitar players, whereas live, you can't do that unless you want to be a horrible person and record all of your parts beforehand and then just play that live, and maybe you might play over the top of it as well. I'm definitely looking at you, Chris Jericho, and you, Il Nino. I saw you guys do that live as well. Anyway, sorry, throwing out names. I feel like you don't have to, in the studio, you don't have to do multi-tracking in order to get a full sound. Largely because you have such a controlled environment for the audio, the speakers that are producing the audio, the speakers that you're performing through. You have a very super controlled environment and also a very dead environment. So you can go back in post and fill that out, boost certain frequencies and such. It's much more difficult to do that live. And the translation of being in the room with them playing this, and I'm going to say this probably at least 1 or 2 more times in this video, but being in the room with them playing this, you're going to pick up on those thicker frequencies, the bottom frequencies, much easier because you can literally feel them. When you remove the recording devices to a certain degree, like you have to for a live show, and you are no longer in as much of a controlled environment as far as where the acoustics are going, it to my ear, it detracts from the sound. So we've got that. And then the other thing is, performance-wise, man, this is one of the big reasons why I like Howard more than Jesse, and that's because Howard is all over the stage and like he's commanding everyone to pay attention and be entertained, and Jesse just kind of sort of paces and then does this and points at you and screams, and like he's a great vocalist and I think he's a great dude, but like, oh man, he could learn a thing or two about Howard's performances, and that's just forever going to be a comparison that people make with this band, because Howard was on 5 records maybe, and now Jesse has been on, I think this is Jesse's 6th record overall, I think. Anyway, so yeah, we're just going to keep going because I'm just going to keep rambling and saying the same thing, so we might as well get further in the video, right? I think it's really corny. This is a video production note. I think it's really corny that they have these shaky cams. Like, it's not great in action movies, save for sparingly from time to time. It's definitely not good in a performance video. We're going to go back and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. That might have been too far back, but whatever. That. What is that? Why? Why do you need to do that? What is the point? He's rocking so hard, he's shaking the camera, man. I think Justin is a hell of a drummer, though. So, again, back to live audio and my issues with live audio, especially live recordings. Pay attention to the bottom frequencies. You can hear the kick. So the bottom frequencies exist. Where the hell is Mike D's bass? Like, where this doesn't make any sense to me. He's not like, there should be much more bass tone. When you see them live, again, you can hear the bass tone live. You can feel the presence of the bass, even though Mike is definitely not the best bass player ever. Not top 10 bass players ever. But he's there. He's doing the thing. So, like, we should be able to hear him, and you really can't. He's being swallowed up by everything else. It's just disappointing. Yeah, let's do those dueling guitars. Well, harmonizing guitars at least. All right, so this should be, dynamically speaking, this should be amazing what's going on right now, because we have a call and response vocal happening, which is always fun. We have a solid rhythm playing long chords to fill out the atmosphere of what's going on. We have the lead guitar player playing a lead part, so it separates the two guitars from each other and they're complementary. And what Mike is playing is going in somewhere in between them as far as the number of notes that he's playing, but he's also accenting the kick drum, which again is what a bass player is supposed to do, but we cannot hear him. There is nothing there. I'm gonna take this back just a little bit, because I mean, I could be wrong. I could just be distracted by the really awesome guitarness that's going on right now, but I think that this should be remixed. I think there should be a better mix for this, because I know those frequencies exist. I know from having recorded live performances before, I know that they are recording this onto a multi-track, so every one of those microphones has its own dedicated track on the recording recording unit that they're recording the audio with. So every output, guitars included, is going onto its very own track, because they've probably got 24 tracks going right now at the most. Very likely actually only probably 16 tracks, but I'm going to be generous and say 24. So it's not like it's the most crazy amount of computational power. It's especially when you have the kind of money that these guys have to do something like that for your craft. I'm so disappointed with and like, I kind of should have expected this. I guess we kind of did expect this in the expectations at the beginning of the video, but it's a lot more disappointing than I wanted it to be. There he is. All right, we're gonna go back one more time, because you can hear him. You just really have to listen for it, man. Especially because Mike plays overdriven bass. He's not distorted necessarily. He just has a little bit of crunch on top with that overdrive, which is what I love. And one of the things I do like about Mike D'Antonio's bass is that he has great tone when you can hear him. So if you listen really, really close, when he gets up into the higher frequencies, when he's playing those higher notes, it starts to cut through, because it sounds like Joel and Adam are fairly scooped. They're not 100% scooped, because they have much too much color in their tone for it to be a hard scoop, but there's definitely a scoop, overall scoop kind of flavor to their tone, whereas Mike's tone seems to be kind of the anti-scoop. It leans more towards the mid frequencies than the bottom or top. So again, not 100%. We're not talking hard scoops. We're not talking hard hump, but hump. So that is one of the things that you do when you're talking about the sonic landscape of your mix, is not only can you do this with panning instruments. When you're in a studio setting, you pan instruments different percentages, like you pan the lead guitar 25% to the left, and then you pan the rhythm guitar 25% to the right, and you pan the bass 5% or 10% to the, it depends on who the producer is and what the band is and what the sound is and yada yada yada. But that's kind of, panning wise, that's one thing you can do for the sonic landscape. The other thing, the thing that the band is responsible for, is finding the frequencies inside of that sonic landscape that they live in. So if you have one guitar that is focused on, they have a good bump on 32 kilohertz rather. You have one guitar that's bumping there. You don't want the other guitar to also bump on 32 kilohertz, because then if they're playing separate parts, they're going to bleed into each other and you're going to lose them. It's going to become really, really muddy. So you want to find a different frequency hump for the second guitar player to accent on, if you will. So on the bottom end of that, you have a lot of room, because honestly, guitar, a regular 6-string guitar, doesn't have a whole lot of bottom end tone, and actually kind of bottoms out right about mid-tone, which is where the bass player, where the bass is in the middle of. You have a lot more. The general use aesthetic is a lot wider on bass than people give it credit for. So usually a band that is very aware of their sonic landscape, they'll find the frequency that accents the tone of the one guitar and then the tone of the two guitar. And then they'll also find where the bottom end, whatever the instrument they're playing, the style that they're playing, there's going to be a tonal center of the a frequency center, I guess I should say, a frequency center that makes them stick out of the other instruments. I know they've done this work. Because Adam is incredibly intelligent. Adam is a producer. That's one of the things that he does when he's not playing metal guitar for Killswitch Engage. So I know this thing has happened. And oh God. Okay. So we went back, we're listening for the bass. He exists very, very nicely in those midtones. The bottom end is just so much mud, you can't barely hear him. The only thing you can hear when he's on the bottom end is the distorted, the overtones from the distortion or from the overdrive. And that's just poor mixing. That right there, that is the note where you were like, oh, there's a bass player. Like before, it was like, maybe there's a hint of a bottom end here, but everything else is kind of falling apart. So yeah, sure, I can kind of hear him. And then he hits that, whatever. I don't have my bass on me. We need to start doing these reactions with my instrument so I can play it a little bit. But we're going to keep going. There it is again. Oh, nope. All right, so this passage, because both guitars are on the higher side of their frequency range, you can hear the bottom end a little bit better. But there's just. Can I remix it, please? Give me the masters. I'll remix it and make it sound so much better. Go, Adam, go. The bass, I'm gonna hammer this in one more time and then we're gonna stop talking about it, I promise. But the bass should, when we're in the mid, I think part of it is Mike. I think part of it is the fact that he likes to play frequencies that are much closer to what Joel and Adam are playing. So that's part of it. He likes to be in a mid-range tone where he's clashing a little bit more with the guitar, which is. So it's kind of on him, but honestly, most of this exists on whoever mixed this live recording, because all you got to do is crank those bottoms. Anyway, the thing that I just heard We have a couple of open notes from mics. We have I think they play in B, so it was a B and an F sharp from the section where both Joel and Adam were playing the higher frets, the higher notes, and you could hear the note, you could hear the overtones of the note, but you couldn't hear the actual sub frequency, the actual note that he was playing, just the overtones that carried on past it. But you got a little bit closer to the actual note there, and that I thought was really nice, but it came and went and came and went and came and went. I'm a bass player when I play on stage, if you hadn't already guessed, and it drives me crazy when sound guys screw that up. Never been a fan of Adam's vocals. Ooh. Now we can hear all three instruments. All four instruments, technically, but we never lost the drums. Oh, that was great. That was great. Hit those skins, Justin. Oh, man. He's so good. Oh, it's so good. I love Killswitch Engage. I love that track. I love everything about this except for the fact that it was a live recording. Well, I really hope, because oftentimes because this is being released as a live album as well as a live DVD. So oftentimes it is a different mix for the audio only version versus the DVD audio. So I really, really hope that this is going to be the case here and that the audio only version is a better mix. And again, I'm done. I'm done griping about this mix. I like Killswitch Engage too much to really rip on this as much as I have, so I'm sorry, but I just, being a sound guy and being a bass player as well, it's aggravating. It's really, really frustrating, and that's what we're here to talk about. If you're looking for me to be absolutely nice to everything, even if I love this stuff, then you obviously are on the wrong video. But that's where we're going to leave this one. Final thoughts as far as this. I was not. My mind was not changed, to use a phrase. I still think that by and large, live recordings are horribly done, especially when compared to the original studio recordings that are so 98% of the time so much better. And live music should be experienced live, not after the fact. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, so the things we do when we sign off, there is a Wednesdays, I do the pop culture news show. We talk about all of the nerdy things in pop culture, and it's a great fun, and you should subscribe and like and do the things in order to catch the Wednesday videos, as well as Fridays. We do that same thing, only live. So if you want to contribute to the news, you can do that Friday nights, 7:30 Mountain Standard Time is usually when we go live. So check out the channel and do the stuff and the things and join us. These reaction videos, I try to get one out every week or a couple of weeks, but man, is it really tough to work this in, doing the full-time news show, well, full-time research and editing for a news show, as well as an actual full-time job. So we'll try and keep this as consistent as possible. I do have to do them in batches, so it is what it is. But I appreciate you for joining me right here on this one. There are much more reaction videos here on the channel as well, so you can go check out any one of those. Again, Wednesdays we do the news show. Fridays we do the live show. We also do stream gaming after we're done with the news on Friday nights. So join in the fun. All of that being said, appreciate your faces. We're going to go. Before we do, always remember, nerds, that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.